Hey guys, I'm going to ramble today about something. I actually have a topic. It's on scoping and how I feel like this is a really important muscle and skill that you have to learn. And once you learn it, I think things go a lot smoother. So I think this comes up professionally a lot in general. Like if you work um, for example, if you work in tech and you have a quarterly roadmap, and then on this roadmap are a bunch of projects and features, that you have to work on. And at the beginning of every quarter, in the beginning, if you're like a junior IC, then your senior or your lead or your manager will scope it for you. They'll be like, this project ought to be this hard and take this much time. Like, is it like a small effort, medium effort, large effort, extra large effort? Do we expect it to take like 2 weeks, 1 week, 2 days, or like, at least a month? Is it a full half? We're just dedicating our time to this. Like, this is like, yeah. And when you're a younger like contributor, you're like, I don't know how long it's gonna take. But as you get older and more seasoned, you can like reasonably say and guess like it should take, I don't know, like this will take me like 1 week. Or but then like, oh, this person is more junior and should take them 2 weeks. And this scoping is something that I definitely learned in my professional experience, but also I'm definitely starting to learn in like my personal experience or like personal life. And like it feels kind of like, oh, of course, but like I remember one of my biggest, like, I'm thinking about it in terms of like hosting. Because for me, I think like for like things like film or climbing, it's almost like less important to scope. Or like, I don't know, I actually think it does apply for creative projects too, but like for example, I'm gonna start with hosting, then I'll try it with filmmaking. With hosting, a few years back, I was trying to throw a party, and I had only thrown parties up to like 30 people before, and I was like kind of new to throwing parties. And my friend was like, oh, you have such a fun vision, why don't you use my new venue? And she had an entire like big, not like a warehouse, but like warehouse sized venue, and it could fit like 120 people. And she wanted to sell tickets, and like what, once you have a big venue, you have to pay the venue costs, which require tickets, which also then it felt like everything from there scaled up like an order of magnitude. And before this, I had only done like one party in my apartment that was like a huge success, but like in my apartment, is a very different feeling than a venue. And because there is a venue, there's like also like, oh, do we want DJs? And then you have to pay for DJs. And then there's also like decorations, or like everything gets a lot more complicated, especially I want to say around like there's like certain thresholds, and I'm still figuring out what those are. But I think like a party in my apartment for like 30 people is very cozy. You can get people to like, you can get by with like a pretty small portable, like, ideally not a totally shit one, but like you can get by with like just like a JBL speaker. And you can also get people to do like more intimate, vulnerable things. At a larger apartment with like 80 to, like 80 people, 70, 80 people, then there's, you definitely want like if in the first one you were mostly just hosting with like you and a friend or something, here you want like you and your friend and like a few helpers, and the helpers will be like a few friends, and they can just help you with like, oh, can you clean up this area, or can you like just organize the snack station, and like and you can still get by with like a larger speaker. At I would say around like 80 plus, you start getting into like wanting good speakers, because also your venue's probably bigger. And I feel like at 130 or so, it's like you might be having a venue or a space, you might want DJs. Like even in the 80 person size, it's like, yeah, I mean, I threw a party and it had DJs and it was really awesome. I even got speakers and it was like almost like overpowered, but it was really good for having a good party. But also when you get into like 80 plus, you start having less close social connections, and so you can ask less of people. Like you can't ask them to immediately do vulnerable things. You might even, as the party gets bigger, the circles start to multiply. So then you can create little cozy nooks or little smaller circles within which people can try creative and interesting things. But like you probably can't get everyone at once to do something bizarre, because they will feel too much like apathy or like skepticism, or they're just like kind of like they're one of a mass. It's not like they need to do anything. Like I don't know, it gets a lot more like difficult to get people to do something that is potentially like socially out of the norm. But for me, I think that particular part I talked about, where like I wasn't that experienced and I took on something that kind of snowballed and involved ticketing and DJs and things that were outside of my usual, like I basically bit off more than I could chew. And because of that, it wasn't up to my standards or what I wanted to happen. And I felt really like traumatized from it, and had a lot of like hosting, like almost like a hosting trauma or like burnout, where I was like, I don't want to, I just felt scared of hosting again. And the way I've been slowly working myself out of that is like going back to like, okay, I'm just gonna do a small dinner party. I'm just doing a book club. I'm just doing like a small picnic with my friends, like 8 people. And then like building confidence through slowly like having a few wins under my belt, and then regrowing and challenging myself to do bigger events. And that's been really nice. Like just getting reps in, honestly, including some smaller events that didn't go as well, but it was just like another rep. And by doing this, I feel like I'm slowly, it's like take baby steps is so real. Like, oh, I threw something for like 50 people and it went well, and then I threw something for like 80 people and it went well, and I threw something for like 100, and like it's just slowly getting bigger. And when I think about planning something now, I'm like, I think what makes a project go well is all in how you set it up. So it's like, okay, don't let the invite list balloon too much. Like, and part of that is also just having experience and knowing like what are the usual odds of flaking. It's like, oh, probably about half will show up, or probably more than half will show up because we asked them specifically to RSVP or to like pay for a little bit of money. And like people will be a lot less pissed if you charge them like some money but not like a crazy amount. Like there's also like thresholds of people's expectations, the higher the ticket price. And there's also certain patterns around like, if you ask people to pay up front, then you're probably way better off than if you throw a party and then ask them to donate after the fact. There's also like, yeah, like now, I think in the past I was just like trying things, and now I'm like, okay, no, like before I throw an event, I will scope it so I feel set up for success. And it's like, yeah, it's almost like I feel out all the ways that I'm nervous, and then I like kind of like massage the conditions so that they're a lot more like calming and doable for me. So it's like, oh, okay, like I have a few co-hosts, and I'm like, oh, it's still a lot of people. Then I like ask a few more friends to chip in to help. And then there's also like, oh, should we like worry about the gender ratio? Then it's like, oh, maybe we ask the guys to all bring a female friend, and that can help. Or like, you know, it's like a big space and we don't have good speakers. How do we rent speakers? Like, and so just like, it's almost like before I go into the party, I try to make sure all of the main like building blocks or like main factors are in place and designed for, and then like it should go well. Like every party is like a bunch, you know, it's like a very dynamic thing, but like there's a lot of things you can think through, and then through that process you can think through it ahead of time, and then you can be like reasonably assured that it will be okay. Yeah, and then when it comes to like filmmaking, I'm like sometimes I just know I have to, like, for me the philosophy is like, no one piece of output will be perfect. Every single thing I make is a rep. No one article is perfect. I just need to one, make sure it gets done, and two, do the best I can on that rep with the effort, the emotional energy, the time, the inspiration available to me. I don't want to let it lag on indefinitely. And when I notice, what happens to me personally is if I let it lag on, like if I let it just drag, the odds of it never being finished become very high. Like I just will like lose track or lose motivation, or it'll just like kind of become this thing that I dread. And as soon as I start noticing my emotions, like there's like almost like some like kind of inflection point of like, oh no, like it's just going into that like indefinite dragging out scenario, then I try to just like immediately finish. Like I'm like, okay, no, like I know it's not perfect, but I need to finish now, because otherwise it will never be finished. And it's actually more important to me to like get that rep in and finish it and move on to other things. Yeah. There's also, just want to like shout out a podcast I did with my friend Ananta, in which she talks about her different hosting experiences. Is the video like moving? And like the difference between what led to a really successful experience versus what was like a lot more shaky. And I think a lot of it is literally like this muscle of setting up a space being like, it's only this many people. We are not going to go bigger because we don't want to go beyond what we can handle, right? Like just having, it's like having strong boundaries and not letting things slip. And then also just like, just really boxing it for yourself so that it is manageable. I think there's a little bit of flex you can do where it's like, okay, like we should be able to, yeah, like flex on some constraints, but definitely not. Like if you're flexing on more than like 3 factors, like 3 variables, it definitely starts to get complicated. So, yeah, this is just a video sort of talking about how important it is to develop this skill of shaping things for yourself. Actually, I'll give one last example, which is I've done a lot of fun like adventures in my life. So when I was out of college, I designed for myself like a solo travel to South Africa, and I camped in the remote countryside for multiple months. And later I went to Kentucky. Like I did a lot of excursions, and like the beginning of this vlog was me like going into Europe and being nomadic, and like I designed that. And part of the design involved like knowing myself and knowing what amount of structure I need. Because, for example, I also went to Colombia, solo travel. I went to Cali, Colombia, which is like the capital of salsa, and it's also a very dangerous city. And I didn't feel comfortable, just me personally, just going solo and like popping around in like different hotels. So what I did was I did like a work away. So I signed up for a program, and the program was that it's like through a website, and I would redesign this hostel's website in exchange for free lodging and breakfast. And like this was enough structure and safety for me to do this. Without it, I think I would have struggled because I would have felt like I don't have an anchor or like someone who knows that I'm there and is expecting things of me. Similarly, when I went to South Africa, I had a friend who was like a local. She like got like sick and left after 2 days, but like still that was like just like the minimal amount of safety and structure needed for me to like embark on this adventure. And for Europe, I like wanted to go to Europe. I didn't actually just want to be like solo traveling around. I wanted more of a container. And so it's like there's like setting up, reaching out for a container, and like so then I asked my friends like, is there anything they know of? And I found a few like co-living communities and group containers that welcomed me in, and I made friends through that. And that was necessary. Without those, I think I would have struggled to go on those trips personally. Like I think there's a lot of trips where I could go solo travel, but like this is part of my like designing a adventure or a project, or like setting things up for myself so that I feel comfortable and safe and good, and I can explore and do whatever creative thing that I want to do. But it's so important to do that. Otherwise, 1, you might really struggle. 2, it might be a big failure. 3, like odds are it won't even happen because you'll feel like overwhelmed or not like ready to go into something without the necessary like setup. So yeah, I don't know. Recently I've been thinking about how important it is, and like when I think about all the things I've been doing, a lot of the reason why I succeeded is because I set it up, or like I like massage the conditions, or made sure that it wasn't bigger than I could chew, more than I could chew, and that like I could feel safe in the ways that the parameters were like vetting out. So yeah, slightly longer talk, but that's it for today. Thanks, guys. See ya.